Over the last 2 weeks, since crypto bottomed out back on July 5th, there are a few projects that have had as good of a rebound as Aerodrome, and it has caused it to be quite a stir here in the Investing Bros community. And today I'm going to take a look at what is happening on this project. What is it doing? What does the short-term future look like for price? And is this a long-term hold or simply something to hold throughout the rest of this bull market? Make sure you do not go anywhere. Smash the like button. Watch to the end, and if you enjoy the video, please consider hitting that subscribe button for more content just like this. But first, before we get into the details of the video, we got to roll our intro. All right, everybody. First, before we go too much into details, take a look at the chart of Aerodrome. We're going to come back and take a look at potential price prediction. But as I said, since that dip back on July 5th, this coin is now up 160% in the last 2 weeks. I think there's a lot more coming, but there's going to be some volatility ahead. So you want to stick around and find out what that's going to look like. I'm going to tell you guys the level that I'm looking to purchase some Aerodrome here in the next couple of days, maybe next week or two. So you want to stick around for that. But first of all, let's get into some details. What is Aerodrome? In case anyone does not know, hasn't heard about it, I know it's a little small, but I'm going to read it for you guys. Aerodrome Finance is a next generation AMM designed to serve as Base's central liquidity hub, combining a powerful liquidity incentive engine, vote lock, a governance model, and friendly user experience. Aerodrome inherits the latest features from Velodrome V2. In a nutshell, it is going to be the liquidity on Base. If you don't know what Base is a layer 2 blockchain function that's working on Ethereum to help make things faster and cheaper, a lot like what we have with Matic. It's built on optimism, so Base isn't its own thing. It's built on optimism. I think that's another reason why, if you guys are looking for another coin that is a good investment long-term, optimism is one of those. But ultimately, Base has come, it's a newer project. It's come out of nowhere. It's taking the world by storm. It's just crushing it in almost every category that really counts when it comes to layer 2s. And now we have Aerodrome, which Aerodrome's not new. It's been around, I think, officially since February, and technically it was built last August, but it is coming out as the liquidity function. And we've seen a lot of volatility. As I showed you on the charts here, we'll go back to that here for a second. You guys can see here when it launched back as being able to purchase back here in February, we had a nice run up into April where we actually saw the price get up here towards $2.33. Now, I'm going to give you a price prediction over the next couple of months that actually will top that. I'll explain to you why. But then since April, just like the rest of the crypto market, we had a nice pullback on Aerodrome. We actually saw a dip. Oop, grabbed the wrong thing there. Let me redo this. Grab this tool once again. Excuse me for that, guys. We saw a nice dip of 83%. Some people were probably freaking out. Some people were asking, is this the tokenomics? Well, we'll deal with the tokenomics here in just a second. But ultimately, this is just a part of newer coin volatility. It's going to come up. It's going to go down. But when you look at the fundamentals of what Aerodrome does, it's hard not to like what its purpose is. Forget tokenomics for a second. I'm going to deal with that in just a minute or so. But when I look at it being the major liquidity on the newest, hottest Ethereum layer 2, and Ethereum, of course, is probably about to do some amazing things with an ETF launching later this week or next week. There's just so many reasons to say fundamentally Aerodrome is a project, at least for the next couple of years, is very much worth an investment. The question is, where should you invest and what you expect that return to be? Again, we'll cover that here in just a minute. But let's get to the concern. There is one thing that I have heard rumblings of people saying, hey, watch out for Aerodrome. The fundamentals, the tokenomics are a little bit interesting. And to take a look at that, we got to go over to the white paper itself to understand what this is. Now, actually, before I come here, let me show you exactly what people are afraid of. Going back over to CoinMarketCap, you guys will see currently the market cap of the circulating supply is $564 billion. The circulating supply is at 540 million tokens, but the total supply is at 1.16, no max supply, fully diluted. We're sitting at $1.2 billion. What does this mean? Well, some people are going to say, oh no, Tim, we could double the supply to get to the total supply, and then they could just keep printing more and more and more and more and more. And to which case, it doesn't matter how high the market cap gets. They pretty much can just print this coin into infinity. And here's the thing. At the surface value, if this is all you see, it is something that should raise a red flag and say, all right, well, we're half of our total supply. What does that mean? We have no max supply. What's the plan for the future of how they're going to be printing tokens? And what does the future of this kind of look like? Well, that's where we go back over here and we take a look at their emissions schedule. Now, something you should know, this is now I told you guys, even though there's not been a lot of trading on it since earlier this year, it technically launched this plan way back in August of 2023. They initially had a supply of 500 million tokens, but immediately locked up 450 million of those tokens. What does that mean? They took them out of the total supply or the circulating supply, locked them up, meaning no one can touch or sell these tokens for up to 4 years. I'm going to come back to that, but I want you guys to know when you lock up these tokens, I think there are some levels you can lock it up for, say, like 2 years, but the rewards are very minimal. It's actually kind of a weird thing to do that one. They incentivize their holders to lock up for 4 years, which takes that supply temporarily out of the total supply or the circulating supply, and it allows the total supply to stay low. It allows inflation to stay low, or emissions in this case. They have a plan. I'm going to kind of just go through this, that for the first about year and 2 months, so pretty much like 14 months, which we're almost to the end of that, they're printing 10 million tokens per week. Now, again, I'll deal with this. Give me a second. But after that, they're going to move down to 9 million per week. And there's going to become a place where ultimately after week 67, we're coming up to this. They're actually going to allow the governing body, the more you have locked, the higher you'll be able to vote. They're going to allow the governing body to actually decide, do we increase the emissions? Do we decrease the emissions? Do we maintain emissions? There's still going to be a steady flow of coins coming in, but this is where we get to potentially something very important, because you'll notice when you look at total supply, you'll see it's about 640 million less than the total supply. And that is because at this point, there has been, through all the printing, $640 million worth of this token is locked up. And the majority of it is not going to be unlocked until the year 2027. What that means, and this steady state is, yes, we can print new tokens. Yeah, about 10 million to 9 million, somewhere in that range, is being printed every single week. But at this point, the pace that they are on, they're pretty much going to obliterate that every single week, meaning, yeah, we might print a new 9 million tokens, but almost all 9 million of those tokens are going to be locked up. I can't remember where I saw it. Let me go back through some of my stuff. Here we go. This is the projection that they have, that the total supply, this red line, it's going to keep on climbing after the 67-week period. Again, we're coming up on that 67-week period. But if you look at this one, the limited emissions, this is going to be pretty much what it looks like actually comes into circulating supply. They're expecting a leveling out and a barely increasing level of circulating supply. Ultimately, what this means, if you're asking Tim, next year, when we're expecting a potential top of the bull market, where will the top of circulating supply be? Because that's the one that really matters. You don't count the locked. You don't just look at the total and say, oh, well, that's got to be what it is. No, you look at what is the circulating supply. This divided by, market cap divided by this supply is going to give us the price action. And in this case, I'm kind of sitting here saying by the fall of 2025, I would be very surprised if we're not seeing a very similar number to circulating supply, which means every single dollar that comes in, the market cap only right now at 564 billion. If this increases, sorry, 564 million. Excuse me, I misspoke. If this increases into the billions like I think it could, the fundamentals of this project would imply this could be a coin that gets into at least the top 100, if not the top 50. And now we're talking about at least maybe a $20 billion market cap. I'm going to have to do a different price prediction video later, so I'm not going to make my official long-term prediction. But my point is, I don't think we're going to see a massive amount of inflation over the next year. I have some questions about the next 4 years, right? So there's going to be a very large amount of Aerodrome that is locked up. Over 450 million in 2027 will be eligible to be unlocked and dumped on the market. I think that their plan, Aerodrome's plan, is that there should be a good amount of offset, that as the coin continues to grow and it develops, more and more lockups will offset any unlocks that come in. But the point here is, this is a plan or a project that a lot of people are going to speculate and be afraid of. But to me, it looks pretty airtight, at least for this bull market. Once we get through 2025 and get into 2026 and 2027, we will reevaluate the long-term future of Aerodrome. How is it doing? But right now, it's passing the height test. It's passing the community test. It's passing the fundamentals test. And they're doing a lot of amazing things that look like an investment in Aerodrome could make you a lot of money, at least over the next year. That's my initial take, though, on the tokenomics. Hopefully that makes sense to you. If it doesn't, make sure you guys join our Discord. We are always talking about things just like this. In our Discord, you can ask all the questions you want. We can go deeper and answer all of those things. But first, let's go ahead and jump into the charts and take a look at what recent price action has done and what we should be expecting in the future. As I mentioned, up 160% since July 5th. But what are we looking at for potential recent price action or new price action in a couple of weeks to do here? You guys can see here we've hit our take profit from Lux Augo, a buy signal that we got from this fantastic indicator back on the 6th. We have hit our take profit and are running up close to two different levels of resistance that I want to take a look at. Now you'll see here this pink line. It's called a bearish breaker block, right? So when we get up in here, in theory, this should be a strong level of resistance, but there's a red bar that's kind of hard to see. I can see it. I don't know if it's going to play out clearly on YouTube, but I'll explain what's happening. This red bar right here goes to about right here at this point, and it's obviously longer than this green bar. This would mean that at this level, more bears actually are exhausted than bulls, which means it could be a temporary level of resistance, but it's not very strong long term. Same with this one right here, up here towards 120. This is a slightly longer red bar than green bar. Will there be some selling of Aerodrome? Absolutely, there will be. Somewhere between 110 and 120, there's going to be a decent amount of selling pressure. But it's not going to be long-term resistance. This isn't major resistance that will cause a complete collapse. You'll see a bullish breaker block all the way down at 75 cents. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, is there a chance we'd fall back to 75 cents? Absolutely, there's a chance. I'm not thinking that's a very good likelihood, though, and I'll explain why here in just a couple of minutes. But what I'm looking at in the next couple of days, I think that there's a good chance, maybe next week or so, we do continue this rally up between 110 and 120. However, I do think we get rejected at one of those levels, and the next one I'm taking a look at for potential support, I'm going to actually go all the way down to the hourly chart, where we have been using this blue cloud of smart trail of support since back here on July 10th as very strong support. I think that once we hit 110 to 120, the farthest we really pull back to is about 90 cents. Not only is it because of Lux Augo's indicators, but coming back out to the daily chart, you'll also see going back to times of support back in May and April, this area, 90 cents, was the pullback zone before one more rally and the bigger dip that came throughout June and July. But now it's time to do a little bit of drawing on here and talk about what could this look like. Whether price gets up here towards 110, and we'll stick with that for now, or if it goes up to 120 and then curves over and comes back down towards 90 cents before reversing back to the upside. Some of you can already see what is happening on this chart, but this would be what we would call a inverse head and shoulders pattern, meaning we have ourselves right here, a left shoulder a head, and a right shoulder. And the way that this works, the way you would do TA and project where price could get to if this were to play out, is you would draw connecting shoulder levels, these highs on the dips. You then take the depth of the head up to that shoulder level and move it over to potential breakout opportunity. And this would give the price of Aerodrome a projection of reaching darn near close to $3, a 2x from current price levels hovering around $1 right now. It's too early to say that this is going to happen for certain, but I do think it's interesting. Again, as you take a look at what we have with our technicals, you look at the levels of resistance, you take a look at our strength of where we are right now. Long term, still very bullish on the daily chart, but when you come down to the 4 hour and 1 hour, you're seeing a sign of, hey, we're not quite ready to reverse just yet, but that reversal is coming soon with that strong support at 90 cents. And it's just kind of all adding up together that this type of a movement is highly likely to happen. So with that said, where is Tim planning on buying more Aerodrome? I'm going to be buying more right down here at 90 cents. Could we go a little lower than that? Absolutely. But with the potential trade opportunity of moving up closer towards $90, this is something that I would very much be willing to purchase at 90 cents, take my profit, maybe a little bit lower. Maybe I'll go to former all-time high just to be safe around 240. What am I trying to say here? I'll start this over. My buy orders at 90 cents. My take profits at former all-time high. I can have a nice, comfortable stop loss, feeling very, very good about price not dropping lower, even back down towards 60 cents, and let this trade ride for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so. And with the momentum Aerodrome has and what's happening right now in the project, I would not be surprised by September to see this price of at least $2.40, if not $3, come into play for Aerodrome. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think? We're continuing to watch on the largest crypto of them all, Bitcoin. We're getting very close to a big bullish breakout itself. Give it a couple more days. We might even have a little more work to do to the downside, but we are about to break out on Bitcoin majorly. I think that breakout is going to be taking us up towards $82,000. If this happens, it's just one more reason to be super bullish on the rest of the crypto space. And one of the ones with the hottest momentum, Aerodrome, should absolutely be on your card you're looking at for next purchases. Let me know in the comments where you have bought in the past, where you're looking to buy in the future. Are you bullish or are you bearish on Aerodrome? I love the feedback from you guys. Smash the like button on the way out. Hit subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Adios.